sandwich that Hello, welcome to the Boss's Orders podcast. This is a competitive Pokemon trading card game podcast. I am a co-host, Cole, and I'm joined with my other co-host, Andy.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Cole. If I may, before we even get into anything, I had a thought as you were talking. I feel like when the new games come out, we'll probably talk about those, even though it's not trading card game stuff. So I think it's just like a Pokemon podcast in general, with a focus on the card game, right?
Okay, yeah,
You know?
That's fine. I could do that. I was kind of thinking when the new games come out, they could be like their own little subsection of it. But there's a lot of Pokemon content just in general, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I don't know, or I'm wrong, and you cut this out, and no one ever hears it, and that's fine too.
We'll see how we feel after this.
See how you feel at the end.
Yeah, got a couple days before this comes out, so we can go from there. Today, well, actually, this might be. I was going to just jump into what we normally do, but I just realized that this is the first episode of a brand new podcast on a brand new network.
Yeah.
And people might not know what we did before this.
Yeah, I'm worried because I've already had to tell all my friends where to find us.
Yeah. That's why I made that giant post when I posted
it was
Captain's
a big
calls.
Post. It was big.
Yeah, and I felt like I needed to do that because everyone's like, oh, what's this now? And I was like, there's a lot of backstory into this.
I didn't read it.
Don't worry about it. It's literally everything I put in the Discord, which, by the way, you should join, and you'll have the notes, or not the notes, but the links to join our Discord in the show notes for sure. But basically, this is a Pokemon podcast in the Banhammer Games Network. We talked about it because we are coming from Perfect Guard Podcast, which was a 29 episode little mini podcast that we did. I guess the last episode was 2 or 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
And that was kind of split. It originally started as a Vanguard podcast, competitive Vanguard. Then it moved to Flesh and Blood and Pokemon focused. And then at the tail end, we decided that it's doing too much to juggle those two games on the one program. So we kind of split it up. We created a network, Banhammer Games. And so everything is under the same feed wherever you get your podcasts. I'm still working on iTunes, so there's been some complications on that one, so that's coming soon. But like on Spotify, wherever you would get your normal podcast, you'll have in the same feed under the Banhammer Games feed, you'll have Captain's Call, which is our Flesh and Blood podcast, and then you'll also have Boss's Orders, which is our Pokemon podcast. So you can listen to whatever flavor of Cole and Andy you would like for that week, if you'd like. Episodes will come out tri-weekly, so you'll have one episode 1 week of Captain's Call. Next week will be Pokemon, and then we'll have a break week, and then we'll back with Captain's Call and rinse repeat, etc. Moving forward, that might change, but as of right now, that is our current schedule. So
that's how we're gonna try it, at least.
Yeah. Things might change, especially within the next month or so, because I am under contract for a house now.
You bought a house, or you're buying a house?
Yeah. Buying a house, yeah.
I mean, you live in a house now, but it's...
I'm renting a duplex.
I don't want people to think you live, in your car.
No, that would be kind of cool, though. But no.
Well, with this housing market.
It was so stressful. We got so lucky. But anyway, Pokemon. We're talking about Pokemon.
Pokemon live in houses. There's your segue.
Actually, before we jump in, because this episode, we're going to talk about the Japanese set Battle Region, which came out, I think, last month. It's a mini set in Japan, because Japan does mini sets almost every month. Is like a mini set, and then when it goes global, they combine it into larger sets. So this will be part of our Astral Radiance set, which comes out in May. But I want to spread the news of the 5K that was just announced at Card Trooper, which is a local-ish game store near us in Richmond, Kentucky. They just announced a 5K on it's not
June 11th.
June 11th. Yeah, June 11th. $40 entry, which is cheaper than the 2K entry was. And the Card Trooper has some of like the coolest like champion mats that I've seen. For Pokemon, at least in our area, they're like really really nice looking. This one's got like the origin of Dialga and Palkia and like this really cool electric thing. It looks really good. So first place we get 2,000, and second place 1,000, third and fourth 500. Sorry, fifth to eighth 150, ninth to 16th would be $50. The cap is 256. It's best of one rounds, Swiss rounds. Then it cuts to top 16, I think. Cuts 16 and then goes from there, I believe. You can find all the information on Card Trooper Games website. And you can also register for that as well. I will attempt to be there, but I had to drop out of the Indianapolis Regionals happening in a couple weeks because that is the weekend that we decided we're going to move now. So I had to drop out of that one, but I was really excited to go to that regional. But as everything should be okay for me to go to internationals in Columbus. I believe that's also in June. Now that I'm thinking about it, oh boy, there's a lot happening. It's coming from Vanguard, right? We were talking about before this. Coming from Vanguard, where there's like no big tournaments like
at all ever.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden there's one almost every week in June. Because I think there's one on June 4th as well, and I think that's at Mavericks.
This is, if I may.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've found about Pokemon players. They love to play Pokemon. They love it, and that's all they do.
Uh-huh.
That is true. All they do is play Pokemon. So it makes a lot of sense that there's a tournament like every day of the week. For me, it's exhausting.
Oh, for sure.
But they love it. They eat it up, and because that's it. That's it for them. So hey, more power to you. Get out there and win a what is this? A playmat? Win a playmat and some money, I guess.
Yeah. And then you get all the bragging rights and whatnot that comes with it that I would never know because I don't win.
Do you?
That's
I mean,
fine.
Yeah, I guess technically you do, but like who? Like
nobody really.
What do you?
No,
because I'm gonna make fun of you if you brag about that. Enough about that. We're not sponsored by Card Trooper or anything, so let's stop talking about that. That's great. Go see you at the tournament if you're there. If not, well, I won't be there. I'm not going to go to that. But it's great. Good luck to everybody that goes in like 3 months from now.
I guess it's only 2 months. Anyway, Battle Region, which is set 9 or 9A, I think in Japan. Doesn't really matter, but so we're gonna just kind of go through the list first.
We want to talk about this stuff now while it's out, like in Japan. Well, we already know what the cards are, so we don't have to talk about it when the set is about to come out in America. And so, what we can do, we want to talk about the cards now, so that later we can talk about the actual decks.
Yep.
Right. Like we're not going to get super into like the meta game or anything now, but here we'll talk about some cards and some ideas, and we'll be like, oh, this is cool and exciting. That way, when what's it called, Astral Radiance comes out on our end of things, we'll be able to talk about the metagame and actual choices and stuff like that.
Yeah, we won't have to go through through the cards again. Yeah, which should be really nice. All right, right off the bat, I want to talk about this Vileplume card. It is stage 2 like normal. It's got 2 attacks. The first we don't care about. It's the second one that we care about with the grass colorless. It's called Allergy Storm. Does 90 damage straight off. Then you flip a coin. If heads, your opponent can't play any supporter cards from their hand during their next turn. If tails, they can't play any item cards from their hand. So that's kind of funny. Apparently, Vileplume has always had like a history of messing with your opponent, like being a an obstruction like card, not an obstruction. Jesus, what am I trying to say? Um, they do tricky stuff and they really hurt your opponent. What would you call that?
It's like a hoser or tax or like it's interaction.
Yeah,
It's as good of interaction as you're gonna get in this game.
yeah. Um,
Well, actually, more on that later. But I like this card because it's not like if it's heads do a thing, if it's tails sad. Like
yeah.
you get something either way. You can't
hmm
control this really, to my knowledge, so that
You
makes me
can
feel like
do
it's not good.
you can do a little bit. There's a stadium card called Glimwind Tangle, and so whenever you flip a coin for an attack, or
Yeah,
when you flip coins for your attack, you can flip it one more time. So if you really want to shut your opponent down from using a supporter, but you flip tails, you have one more shot to flip heads. Um, so that's pretty cool. I really like the design of that card. I think it's really clever, and it feels kind of balanced either way, which is weird. And I like it gives to the player and not like affects the opponent because they could just switch out and then it would get rid of that. You know, gets rid of that all that hard work. All right. What's
yeah,
the
it's
next
cool.
card
It's a little
that's
expensive.
well? Oh, we're not going to talk about. Dang it, we're not going to talk about this
No,
week.
we're not going to talk about it this week. I know what card
Right?
you're talking
Yeah,
about too, but we'll
yeah.
get there.
We'll get there. Yeah, because we're going to do a set. Probably the next boss orders will be a set review of Time Gazer and Space Juggler, and that card comes out in that set. So we'll talk about that later. What's the next card that jumps out to you, Andy?
Let's see. What do we got? This card is fine. I like Combi just as a Pokemon, but that's not really.
I do. We do want to talk about Vespa Queen
Yeah, I
later
like
on.
the Vespa Queen. I think this is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a stage 1, right? 120 HP, and it's got 2 attacks. We don't care about the second attack. The first attack is for 1 grass. It's called Honey Rush, and it's 60 times. You reveal any number of honey item cards from your hand, and it does 60 for each honey revealed that way.
Yep.
That's
So
pretty
I can
cool.
do 240, up to
240
240.
for a
If
single
you've got,
grass, if you can manipulate it to be that way. And I like this because it's unlike Malamar. You don't have to discard the cards, right?
yep. Malamar shuffles them back into your deck.
Well,
Yeah.
gets rid of them. It doesn't. Yeah, it
Gets
doesn't
rid of them. Yeah.
remove them.
Yep.
And like you're not going to
That's
play the
pretty cool.
honeys anyway. So
No, you're not.
the problem.
We'll talk about the honey later
We'll talk
on.
about honey later. This suffers like this deck. This idea suffers from like the filling your deck with bad cards to make your average cards good.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
But cool little budget type of deal, maybe. I don't know. You could play this with. Well, you could play this with like Shaman.
You could. You could also. I think you'd probably want to do the Inteleon line with this and
You people
focus
in
on like the.
this game. I wish those cards didn't exist. Honestly,
Okay. Why?
it's like such a crutch. Like the Inteleon
I
line
mean,
is such a crutch.
it's gonna get rotated out real soon.
I
So
understand, but it's like it's way too good.
it's way too good for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree on that
I just
one.
hate that every deck starts with like either like this line or you have to have a really good reason to not play this line.
Yeah. Or now it's Inteleon or Arceus, or if you're really good, you'll play both of them.
Yeah,
So
man.
that's the
I
thing.
guess I don't know. It's bore. It makes for boring deck building to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's fair. Another card I want to talk about, Roserade, real quick, just because it's got an attack for Grass and Coast, and Assassin Rose does 60 damage, and then if your opponent's active is affected by a special condition, it does an additional 60 to one of their bench Pokemon, and that would knock out, like we were just talking about the Inteleon line, it would knock out Sobbles, the the Rapid Strike Sobbles.
Mm-hmm.
Only have 60. Against Malamar, it takes out the Inkays, some of the other, like, I don't think it'll take out Barrel itself, but you could also do other pings like with Zigzagoon or whatever.
Isn't this a lot of
and you
work
can,
though to get here?
I don't think so, because it's only a stage 1. There are ways where you can kind of sneak it in. And it's just a grass and a colorless, which is fairly affordable.
Yeah, but what special condition are we like reliably applying?
Ah, I was thinking with Hisuian Typhlosion, which we'll get to later. There's
Oh,
actually
this
two.
is a deck. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's one in Time Gazer, which you discard a psychic energy and you poisoned
Yeah.
your opponent's active Pokemon, and then there's also one we'll talk about later.
This one.
So I think it might have some legs. If not, it might be just a cheeky little fun thing to mess around with, especially in a budget.
Yeah, it's cute
version,
for sure. I don't know. It seems like some hoops to jump through, but that's most what this game is, though, isn't it?
Yeah. And who's got the most efficient hoops and
Yeah.
who can do it with the least amount of hiccups? Yeah.
You want to talk about Virizion?
Yeah, just real quick.
Yeah, it's a interesting. This hoses the Roserade deck. So it's what it itself is whatever. It's a Pokemon V ability Grassland Wind. Your Pokemon with grass energy attached can't be affected by special conditions, and then when it comes into play, you'd heal any special conditions from Pokemon with grass energy attached, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know if you're dying to a lot of Galarian Weezings. This is something, I guess.
No, because it would.
Oh, because it wouldn't have the ability.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Unless you could get the switch the Galarian Weezing out of the active spot.
Yeah.
Because then it shuts off that. But
Oops.
yeah. It's not great. It gets a little. I think that Virizion gets a little bit better with the next set with Gardenia, which spoiler is really good. But it just doesn't do the damage that I think it really needs to without the choice belt.
All right. Anyway, enough about these stupid grass Pokemon. Let's talk about a real Pokemon. Let's talk about. I love this and I hate it. Okay. This Heatran. Now, just hold on. This Heatran is like the answer to my prayers. Okay, because it's the Magma Basin card, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that it's got this new mechanic, Sparkling. It is Sparkling Heatran.
I think the official English one is Radiant.
Radiant, whatever.
Yeah.
whatever it is, you can only have one of it in your deck.
Yeah. One Radiant Pokemon in general.
Right.
There are other Radiants, but yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, if this thing dies...
There are ways to bring it back.
Yeah. Yes, but you gotta realize, I understand there's ways to get there, right? Mm-hmm. But the ends justify the means here. Specifically here. I don't think so.
Yeah, because its attack cost is so thick.
Yeah,
it's
red, it's fire, colorless. This attack does 70 damage times the number of damage counters on this Pokemon. So you get your Magma Basin going, and you kill stuff, right? That's the idea.
Yeah.
But it's like they made it so that couldn't happen, which makes me think then why print this card at all?
I don't know if we'll talk about it in here, but there are other cards that can damage your own bench. So you can put things like damage it and then bring it up. And it's a single prize attacker that with enough damage on it can knock out VMAXs.
Yeah, it's a single prize attacker that you have to kind of build around a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's water weak, its retreat is 3. It's got a hefty cost, and for you to only have one of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Mm-hmm. If this wasn't Radiant or Sparkling or whatever it is,
yeah, then we got
a deck, right? We can work, but I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, because I don't know what other. You probably aren't gonna focus a deck around it, but I think it's a decent little single prize attack you can throw into a Victini deck or something, because Victini itself doesn't need a lot of energy, but you are going to be playing Magma Basin so that you can still power up to your bench fire types anyway. So I don't know, maybe it's a obviously
it's obviously a one-of. Yeah, it has to be a one-of.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's worth talking about, but it's a little disappointing.
Yeah. I don't know.
So something else I think is kind of worth talking about, but also a little disappointing is Chandelure.
Don't you say it. Why? What's good about this?
It's just an alternate win condition because mill is pretty good, especially against certain decks like Mew or other decks that can go through their deck pretty heavily.
Sure, it's just
So
such a high opportunity cost to fill your deck with the stuff. In my opinion, if this is going to be like your backup plan, you have to have Litwick's Lampheads and a Chandelure in your deck.
I don't think you need to have those specifically. There's a couple like tricky cards where if you can, I think Peonia is one of them. It's a supporter where you look at up to three cards from your prizes, you add them to your hand, and then you put three cards from your hand in there. And then there's another supporter that I don't know. There's like ways that you can manipulate and get these turn one out. Oh, but you'd have to evolve it.
Yeah,
there's something. There might be something.
That's what I'm saying.
There.
Is it's like it's a lot of, which is like my problem. It's a little bit of my problem with like the game in general. Like they make so many. There's so much cool stuff, and so little of it's playable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just, I understand that that's just the nature of the game, like, and that's kind of how it's always been, right? More or less, but that's not a good reason. The way it's always been is not a good reason to keep doing things, right? Obviously. But it's cool because there's just so much cool stuff. And I feel like every time I look at new sets and look at new cards, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I can literally never play this.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of,
That's why a lot of people really like those alternate formats, because they now have a reason to play these cards that you wouldn't even look at.
Yeah, and that's all fine and good, but you can't go play that for real. Like, you can't play that in a real tournament.
Nope, not really.
Which to me, and maybe I'm being like too much of a try hard, but to me, then that's like, what's the point?
That might, yeah, I feel like that might be a try hard aspect, because you can still like. I like going back and playing retro formats for Pokemon specifically.
Yeah, you guys,
that's for fun.
There's a big market for that here, right? Like, you guys all love your retro stuff. I'm literally never going to touch it.
That's fair,
because there's no, and it's not I'm not trying to like yuck somebody's yum, right? But there's no reason for me to do it because I play so little Pokemon as it is because I'm so invested in Flesh and Blood and tabletop games that like I'm not gonna invest my time into honing irrelevant skills.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
100%.
And I'm not trying to like poo-poo on something, and I understand that's kind of making me sound like a jerk a little bit, but it's just not.
It's not worth your time right now.
Yeah, right. And I don't know, man. Like,
I know there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's fine. It's cool that people are having fun with it. And I appreciate that, and people just love Pokemon and they want to play it, and they'll play it however they can. That's great, but it's like, I got other stuff to do, man. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I don't know. End rant, sorry, but
end rant.
The Chandelure is super sick, but I don't expect to see any play.
Same thing with this Pyroar.
I love this Pyroar, dude. I love it. It's so cool. You can make this work.
Maybe because there's a Toxicroak that came out in the first Sword and Shield block.
Yeah.
It did the same thing. It puts 4 damage counters for poison instead of 2 for burn like this Pyroar does. So like, and that didn't really see a ton of play. I liked it in Eternatus.
Yeah, but look at Weezing. I understand like Weezing is good because of its ability.
Its ability, yeah, its ability, and then severe poison is just like the cherry on top.
Yeah, it's a cool way to win the game.
Yeah, but I think Pyroar with Typhlosion, which we'll talk about later, might be something there.
Yeah.
So definitely something to keep an eye out. But word of warning, it's a little bit of a setup for probably not a good enough payoff. Yeah. But this Starmie though, the Starmie V.
Yeah, the Starmie is really cool.
The only thing really worth talking about is the second ability, the attack. So it's water, so 2 waters. Energy Spiral. It does 50 damage times the number of energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon in play. So in a format where Rapid Strike and Double Turbo Energy are really prevalent, those provide 2 energy by themselves. It does not say energy card. It says energies. So that right there is 100 based off of 1 card. So with all of the Arceus decks running around, that's 100 damage right off the bat, plus any other damage on any of their other or any other energies on any of their other Pokemon.
And we finally have a target for Kingler. Okay. All right.
Kingler and Wailord. I think you'd like that deck actually.
I guarantee you, I would like that deck. So
this is really good. This is super good with Melanie too, because it's just like Suicune, because it's a 2 water attachment basically,
and you can probably play that in this deck too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it's flexible enough where you can play it in quite a few decks. 190 HP kind of sucks, but it doesn't matter because it's the damage output that it can do is massive. So
yeah, he's a glass cannon for sure. This card's
always has
sweet.
been. Yeah,
big
fan of that.
I like this Starmie for sure. I expect to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially moving forward as we near rotation, right?
Yeah. Hisuian Basculin. And so this is not a new mechanic, but a lot of the Hisuian Pokemon in this set and so far moving forward, some of them have a costless attack. It's not a new mechanic. I think it came out originally in Diamond and Pearl, but then it stopped for a bit, and then it came out with the Alolan Pokemon specifically. Some of those had like costless attacks, and now Hisuian, it's back. So we don't care about its HP or whatever. It's really just here for this free attack, which is called Schooling. So search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and play them to your bench, then shuffle your deck. So this could get you any of the Vs that you're missing. Like if you had a really bad start and you had to start with this, it's a free attack as well, which is really nice.
This seems Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. This card seems like a really good going second card as a way to like catch up, right?
Yeah. I was going to liken it to the Rapid Strike Sobble with the Keep Calling ability.
Yeah.
Because that lets you get any Rapid Strike Pokemon, basic Pokemon, put them onto your bench. It's very similar. Or up to 3, I should say. Up to 3 for that. So it's very similar to that. And it's also a free attack.
This is free.
Which I think is super good.
And if anyone that plays any card game ever knows, free effects are they're good. We like those.
Mm-hmm.
We got to break them.
The Basculegion, on the other hand, the Hisuian Basculegion, I don't think is as good.
You don't play this. You don't muck around with this guy.
No, I'm really sad because Basculegion's so cool.
Cool Pokemon, great art.
Fantastic art, yeah.
Great art.
Bad effect.
Not good. So we're not even gonna read it.
Read this Radiant Greninja though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Ability. Excuse me. First of all, it's basic. So let's get that out of the way straight, right? Okay. So he's basic, Greninja. Ability Concealed Card. Once during your turn, you may discard an energy card from your hand, then draw 2 cards. Let's break
any energy card.
This is a perfect example of one of these Radiant Pokemon, right? Because it's doesn't have to be active. It's basic, and it's just its own little engine. You throw this thing into really any deck where you feel like you're lacking a little bit of card draw, and you don't want to like add another supporter or something. And this guy's great. This guy's gonna shine.
Yep, especially if you have a way to recur your energies from the discard, like Melanie, for example. So
he's just he's like a little Tower of Darkness.
Yeah, that's basically what he is, but for energies. Yeah. And I actually like his attack too,
which is fine because you're discarding energy to Tower of Darkness a lot because then you're just putting him back in your deck and getting him out with Houndoom, right? So.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, so he's got Moonlit Shuriken, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. It does 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, which is pretty good. It's water colorless.
Yeah, it's fine. It also only has 1 retreat cost, which is not nothing. Like,
correct.
That's something to look at. Like, 1 retreat cost is pretty good when it needs to be, right?
Yep, exactly. Radiant Greninja is pretty hot. Pretty hot.
Yeah, this is one that it'll just pick it up. Just get one. You only need 1, right?
You only need 1.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yep. All right. This is one of my favorite cards in the set. This is Hisuian Typhlosion V. Yeah, so he's got one of those costless attacks with Singe. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. And burned, I don't know if you're new to Pokemon, burned is a condition where it stays in your opponent's Pokemon until they switch or it's knocked out. Um, and it does 20 damage in between turns. I think you can flip a coin? See, I don't remember. I think you flip a coin if it adds your cure to the burn.
Yeah, it sounds
But
about right.
otherwise,
I've literally never
you
played
keep
with
taking
burn.
it. I wish that special conditions
They
were.
need reminder text.
Yep. Or like what they did with the oh my god, the set that just came out, Brilliant Stars. They included V Star markers in the set. They're just like literally a thing that says V Star, and you flip it over, and it's like grayed out in the back, basically. And if they did that for each of the status conditions,
It would be
that would be
nice.
so nice. It'd be really good. Anyway, so it's a free. Your opponent's Pokemon is now burned, which is really nice. It's a psychic type too because he's a ghost in the game. And he also has another attack, purple purple colorless, shivering flames, 120. Choose a card from your opponent's hand without looking. Reveal that card. You may have your opponent shuffle it into their deck. So it's not like super great, and you're probably not going to play it, but you really just want to use the V to get to the V Star, baby. And he's got 260 HP, which is kind of relevant. It's not great though. Purple, or psychic, colorless. Sorry. Hollow Flame, 180 damage, and you put 3 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way that you like. So you can really double down on the damage counter spreading. This gets around Manaphy as well because you're placing damage counters. You are not dealing damage to the bench. It's the same way that Quick Shooting Inteleon gets around Manaphy as well. And then its V Star power is an attack for 1 colorless Shadow.
It's one psychic.
Psychic. Shadow Roaster. If your opponent's active Pokemon has 4 damage counters on it, it's knocked out, and you can only use 1 V Star power in a game. So as long as you can rack up the 4 damage counters, you can knock out anything else.
This is cool. It's also worth noting it's not 4 or more. It has to have exactly 4. Right? So a little bit of setup. It's cute with what's his name though, right? The lion thing we talked about before.
Pyroar. Yeah, Pyroar.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's really like, nice I'll singe your VMAX or something, and then if by some miracle they don't kill you on their turn, yeah. it's gonna tick to 4, and then next turn you just evolve, kill them.
Yep.
It's something.
It's definitely something.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's actually quite a few cards in this set that actually kind of spread damage counters as well. So I like that a lot. I don't know if it's really. I think it's the second best of the starters, which we'll talk about the other ones later on. But I don't think it's really got
the juice.
The juice. Yeah. Also, it's weak to dark, which is actually pretty relevant because there's a lot of dark Pokemon out right now that are really good, especially with Darkrai coming out soon.
They're going to continue to be around.
Yep. But I think he's really cool and worth to talk about.
I like this Miss Magius very much. I like this card.
Okay.
Again, I don't think it'll see any play. But it's got this ability that's actual. This attack that's actual interaction. For 1 psychic, Ominous Chant, your opponent reveals their hand. If they have 4 or more cards, you choose cards until they only have 3, and they shuffle those cards back into their deck. So on the turns where like you can't Marnie or like you're not swimming in card advantage, this is kind of it's an even the odds sort of deal a little bit. Because you get to pick the cards.
Yeah, you get to pick
pretty
them.
Good. Yeah, it's not just like they keep 3 cards at random. You get to see like, okay, well you could just have these. It's a single prizer, so it's not a real liability to play it and get it out there to attack. But then it's like, what are you doing before this and after this? Like the Mischievous is pretty garbage, and there's like, what are you gonna do? Once you've achieved this, okay, then what?
And then if your opponent top decks like a Professor's Research,
it just doesn't matter. It's cool though. I like that they at least are willing to like print this type of effect. I'd like to see it on a more aggressively costed Pokemon.
Let me tell you about Malamar VMAX, baby.
Yeah, sure.
It's not as good as this.
Right. That's the point. Like, this is an actual, like, good discard mechanic, right?
Yeah, it's more of a punishing
yes.
Hand control option, where Malamar is like, I get to put one card at the bottom of your deck, but I'm also dealing a fair amount of damage, so that's the trade-off there.
But it's also worth more prize, right?
Correct. It's worth 3 times more prize.
So that's a little scarier to leave out there. I don't know. That was just something.
It's a really cool attack, and I think somewhere, somehow, some person's gonna make use of it.
Yeah, maybe. I just like that, and we'll see this as we get into this like era of cards. They're playing around a little bit more with this type of hand interaction.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough for me. I would like to see more of it, but it's something.
It's something.
I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, let's move right along here.
I'm gonna mention this Gallade real quick because its ability. Buddy Catch.
Yeah. Stage 2 Pokemon just don't do it for me.
Well, here's the thing. This effect, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to tell you a Pokemon that has the same effect. Okay? Buddy Catch. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for one supporter card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. There's an Altaria that does the same thing. It's a Stage 1.
Stage 1, yep.
I believe it's a Dragon type, if I can remember correctly.
Okay.
If it's not the deck, it's from the discard, but still, either way.
Yeah.
So, like, this is nice because that card will eventually rotate out, and this will be in standard. So, it's worth maybe picking it up, possibly. So, just something to keep in mind. I don't know if it'll actually see play because that Altaria doesn't really see play. I don't want to talk about this Diancie.
All right, let's not.
Okay, cool.
It's one of the like it seems good, and then you think to yourself, oh, nope.
Yeah, it's if it was translated, the correct translation was cold. What the mistranslation.
Cole just had a stroke here live on television.
I did.
This weird ear though.
I love this weird.
Yeah, it's a weird like. Oh my god. It's a weird card. Stage 1 obviously evolves from Stantler. Ability fast pace. This is why I like the card. Once during your turn, you may draw a card. Beautiful.
Yep.
Love it. Love everything about it.
Beautiful. So you can liken it to the Suicune, Raikou, and Entei card, like the fleet-footed ability.
But this doesn't have to be active.
And it's also on a single prize Pokemon, too.
You know what else is a really good single prize Pokemon that you would just play instead of this? Bibarel.
But that's the thing, because Bibarel tops out on up to 5, and then it's just sitting on your bench, where this always draws you a card.
Yeah, but, like, how greedy are you, man? Like, oh, I need that 6th card. Like, how many cards would you rather... But, like, Bibarel can draw you, like, 4 cards.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I'm just like devil's advocate.
So what we do. Okay, wait. Listen. Now, everybody, shut up. All right. What we do is you start with no cards in hand, right? And then we already have our Bibarel and our Weird Ear, so we Bibarel up to 5, and then we activate our fast pace ability, right? And get that 6th card.
Yeah.
And then we lose.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, because you're using 2 spots in your bench.
Your deck is full of trash. I don't know. This is cool. If Bibarel didn't exist, I'd be more excited about it.
I think the attack's not too terrible, especially because it's a psychic type, which is actually a fairly relevant type.
Yes.
Extra sensory, 40 plus. It's double colorless, so you can use a double turbo, and does 80 more if your opponent has the same number of cards that you have.
Right. So
if you can manipulate it.
So 120, right? But here's my problem with that is like, the best card, and maybe call me out if I'm wrong, I don't think I am, the best card in the game is Marnie. And I want to play that card as much as possible because of the disparity that it's going to leave my opponent at. So, I don't know. Like, yeah, if you can get there, fine. But this is way better in a meta where a card that puts us not at parallel exists. You know? I'd like this a lot more if there was a supporter that was like, we both discard down to 2. Or something.
There's a card where both players shuffle their hand and then they both draw 4.
4's too many. 4's too many cards.
4's too many. Okay.
I don't want to leave my opponent like with Marnie, right? I'm going to leave my opponent with 4, but I'll have more.
That's yeah.
Right? Like with us both going to 4, like I'd rather if we're gonna both discard a bunch of cards, I'd rather us go down to a smaller number so I can be in control of it. Right? I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair.
Something in a game with so many moving pieces, like 4 cards is usually enough to win.
Yeah, there's so many outs.
Yeah,
the deck has so many like search options and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. This is cool though. Also weak to dark, but it is a single pricer, so
yeah. I want to mention this Rhyperior real quick. Yeah, it's the stage. Yeah, it's an 190 HP, which is actually really good for a single prize.
He's
Pokemon.
A thick gentleman.
Yeah. For 1 fighting, 50 damage plus 50 plus damage. Then you discard the top card of your deck. If it's an energy card, this attack does 100 more damage. Then you can attach the discarded energy to this Pokemon. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it also doesn't have to be a fighting energy, so keep that in mind. Also, there's a card later on that we'll talk about that stacks your deck. So you can do that. You can get away. 150 damage for 1 energy is freaking
It's
sweet.
a lot. I think I would like this a lot more if it didn't force you to attach it to the Rhyperior, right? Like,
yeah, that's the thing. Actually, I have to look it up, but if it's because it attaches any energy that you find there. There's a Bronzong that moves metal energy from Pokemon to Pokemon. I can't remember if it's specifically metal Pokemon to metal Pokemon or not, but like there are ways where you can move energy from one Pokemon to another.
Yeah.
Oh, there's energy switch too. Honestly,
switch. Yeah, that's true. That's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe
you'll never want to use the rock tackle.
yeah, 180 damage, but it does 30 to itself, and it costs like 800 energy. It's not good. Yeah, I don't know. This guy again. Stage 2, I sleep. Right? It's just the game is. I just don't want to wait around for it.
It's a stage 2. But you can't search any of the other pieces with level ball, and I think that's probably the worst.
They're all
part
real thick, and the other stages like the Rhyhorn and the Rhydon are garbage.
Because rare candy exists. We don't really look at those other ones unless for some reason they had a good ability like Drizzile.
Right. Well, that's exactly my point, though. We're gonna compare it to Drizzile, right?
Yeah.
Who is? I mean, that line is good all the way up.
All the way up. Every card in there is fantastic.
So when you have, like, this, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel you. But it's good because it's a fighting type, and fighting is pretty good against Arceus right now.
Fighting is good. You know what else is good?
What's up?
Hawlucha.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Hawlucha's one of my favorite Pokemon.
It's so good.
I love him. So we've got he's Radiant, right? Okay, so we got another Radiant.
With 90 HP.
90 HP.
He's level ball searchable.
Yes. Also, if you look at him, he dies. But ability, big match. If this Pokemon is on your bench, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon VMAX.
Yep.
So it's tech, which is fine because it's a one-of.
Yep.
That's it. I think this card is good.
I think it's really good.
Yeah.
And if you need, I have nothing bad to say about it honestly because it's super easy searchable.
Yeah, its attack is trash, I guess, but who cares?
Who cares? I mean, you're playing Pissimian in Rapid Strike, which essentially does the same thing but only to your opponent's bench. And honestly, this is probably better. The only difference is Pissimian can be searched with Octillery because it's a Rapid Strike, but this does 30 damage no matter what, as long as it's a VMAX. Active VMAX, sorry. So, I don't know. Tomatoes, depending on the meta, but I think this card's really solid.
Yeah, it's going to come down to personal preference, too. But yeah, I think this card is cool.
Yep.
It's very, very low opportunity cost to play this guy, and he'll get you there, you know?
Yep.
Because this guy plus Choice Belt, you know, that damage adds up fast.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And if it's any weakness, because it doesn't matter what type it is. So that's pretty good. Hisuian, Decidueye.
More fighting birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Decidueye V. I like this attack first, but then I realized all the hand disruption that exists. For one fighting, you can search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. But then, yes, okay, you grab 2 cards,
Just to
probably
get
what you
Marnie.
needed.
Yeah.
Marnie or Judge, right off the bat.
Yeah, I think this would be more viable if it was one of those, if it's your first turn, use this moves.
Yep. I think so too. Or if it was also a free, because then I wouldn't have to attach my
Waste your
fighting energy for turn for that. Yeah. But the second attack, fighting colorless, attacks damages and affected by effects on your opponent's Pokemon. It does 100. Is that what it says? 100 or
it's 100.
That's bad for 3 energy.
Yeah, I don't like that you have to commit, especially because theoretically the Hisuian Decidueye V-Star, you don't need to invest any energy into that. You could just play it as just to have your V-Star ability, right, and be done with it.
Mm-hmm. At that point, though, I think you'd probably just want to play. Well, let's talk about the V-Star ability on Decidueye V-Star. First off, it's 270 HP. And the V-Star power, which is just an ability, during your turn you can draw cards until you have 8 in your hand. So, if we compare this to Arceus, which I think is probably the closest thing to compare it to, any 2 cards versus a full grip up to 8, it feels a little lackluster.
Yeah, it depends on your deck a little bit, man. I think if you need specific pieces, obviously the Arceus is better, but Hisuian Decidueye is quantity over quality, right?
Yeah, you need to get those 4 honeys into your hand.
Exactly.
So then, I get it now. That's where you want to
play. We're ripping into the honeys. Why would I tutor up 2 honeys when I can maybe draw all 4 honeys?
Exactly. He also has an attack. Jesus. Fighting colorless, somersault feather, 160 plus damage. So you can discard up to 3 energy from your hand. This attack does 30 more damage for each energy you discard in that way.
So it's a 250 if you discard 3, right?
Yes. Wait, 30. Yeah, 250. Yeah. And with the choice belt makes that 280, which can knock out.
And with the Hawlucha.
Oh, true. 310, baby.
We're hitting numbers.
Yeah, but now you have to get rid of 3 energy cards from your hand.
Yeah, you already have 3 energy on this Decidueye, so
that's
unlikely.
That's a lot of energy.
Yeah, I think these are bad.
Yeah, I do too. Especially when compared to some of the other V-Stars in the set.
Especially when compared to Cleavor.
Oh, heck yeah, dude.
Lumberjack hack, flip 2 coins. If both are heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out. That's
Limwood Tangle, baby.
That's it. That's the card. I mean, it's got another attack, but if you do that, I'm going to make fun of you. Yeah. It's all about Lumberjack hack.
Yeah, baby. And it's good because it doesn't deal any damage. You just, the double turbo energy. Bada bing, bada boom.
Easy. Also, this card is going to be absolutely gorgeous in foil.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all whoosh.
Yeah, I like the character art too. It looks really good.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't like how Cleavor is nah! He's screaming. And the kid's my hat! But, the regular art, for me.
For sure. That's good.
Anyway.
Hisuian Quillfish, I like a lot too, actually. Thorn Rush. Oh, no, it's not the Quillfish. It's the Overquill that I like, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the evolution of that. It also has a colorless attack, just like not colorless, Jesus. Costless attack, just like the Quillfish has. So intense poison. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned, and you put 5 damage counters on for poison in between turns. So it's like severe poison, but better for free.
Yes.
That's it. Oh, actually, the other attack that for dark and colorless for Sticker Quill does 50 damage, and the defending Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn unless they play a switching card. But I think that's pretty good. It's like if it sticks, and you're already poisoned anyway. So that's 100 damage in between turns, as long as they don't retreat. For a free attack, basically for any intense poison, and that adds up really quickly. And then, like we were saying before, if you include the Toxicroak as well, then that's just so much
I
damage.
have a question,
What's up?
Judge. Intense poison.
Oh,
Maybe, I
oh,
mean,
they're probably
obviously I'm
where
reading the
yeah.
translation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your opponent's
Mm-hmm.
active Pokemon is now poisoned, period. Put 5 damage counters for poison between turns. That's only going to trigger if I use intense poison, right? That's not an ability.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But
my turn, I intense poison you. Your turn, you take 50. You do your thing. My turn, I sticker quill you. Then
well, you take
you're not going to you're going to take 50 damage, but you're not going to take the 5 damage counters from that poison.
no, you do. It's between turns. So
That's
in between,
that's weird to me. So it
well,
like
that's how wheezing works.
it like remembers where it came from.
Mm-hmm. So if you retreated, it cures yourself of poison,
Right.
and then you're good to go.
But otherwise,
Um,
oh, I see. Yeah, I don't like the way that this is a period.
yeah, I could see that. It's a little confusing. But I don't. I was saying how it might stack with Toxicroak, but now off the top of my head, I don't think it might not. Because I think it just turns regular poison into 4, but this turns regular poison into 5. So it might not stack. Either way,
Regardless,
I think it's
so go ahead.
pretty not bad.
Yeah.
Pretty not bad.
You know what is bad though is Mightyena, so let's skip it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a joke. That was a joke. Okay, I do really want to talk about this because I think this Mightyena might be it's one of the better cards in the set for this specific meta that we have right now. Let's put it that way.
It's
It's
only
a very
VMAX.
Mew VMAX. This is a colorless attack for Mew VMAX, which just rampages throughout the meta right now. And as soon as Mew VMAX is gone, this card's gone. And that's really the only reason that it matters. Okay, so his ability is Hustle Bark. So if your opponent has any Pokemon VMAX in play, the costs are his attack cost is reduced by 3 colorless. And his attack is 3 colorless, wild tackle 160, but does 50 to itself. So that's really good because it is super effective on Mew VMAX for essentially a costless attack. Also, VMAXs aren't actually out of the format like we thought. There are a couple VMAXs in Time Gazer and Space Juggler as well coming out, and I think there's more in the future as well.
But why am I not just playing Gengar?
Because Gengar is a whole package, right? Whereas this is 2 cards. You get the Poochyena and the Mightyena, and then just switch out. It's a free attack against a VMAX. Boss, switch out, and 3 prizes right there. But
well, bold of you to do some 160 damage is killing the Pokemon. I mean, specifically Mew, sure, but like
specifically Mew. That's Mew, and I think Deoxys is coming out.
You only
want
to do this to hose just Mew.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, then
which is why it's such a meta dependent card right now. But it's definitely worth something to talk about. If Mew didn't exist or wasn't like nearly as strong, then no one would really care about this Mightyena. Because 160 to a VMAX is less than half generally, or about half on one attack, so it's not super great. And like VMAXs are starting to be phased out a little bit.
I just you expect to see less of them because the ones we've seen coming out aren't the best by any means.
They're not the best, no. But we do have Mew for another 2 years.
Yeah.
So, and then Deoxys is coming out, and I'm pretty sure that'll be weak to dark as well. And there's a couple other fancy stuff too. So it's definitely worth talking about, and just because of the meta, it's a relevant card. And Absol I really want to talk about too because I like the idea of spreading damage counters. So Absol is 100 HP, so you can't get it with Level Ball. Sweeping Calamity for a dark Does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, and then you don't apply weakness or whatever to bench, which is fine. And then we've got Clawren for 2 dark and a colorless, 50 plus. If the defending Pokemon has any damage counters on it, it does 70 more. So it's 120 for 2. And that's not including any other damage multipliers. So it's not bad, especially against certain Vs. Like if you can boss up a oh my god, a Typhlosion, Hisuian Typhlosion V, or even a Mew V as well, or stuff like that. I think it's pretty decent. But it's a cool card. I want to talk about it. Probably won't see any play like a lot of the other cards that we'll talk about, or we have talked about. So,
here's your
card, though.
Here's your Murkrow V poser.
Yeah.
Hisuian Samurott V for 1 darkness. Discard up to 2 Pokemon tools attached to your opponent's Pokemon in play. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
The second attack is not great either. But the V-Star is cool.
Really good.
Yeah, this card's sweet. So Hisuian Samurott V-Star, 270 HP, so it's actually pretty good. Dark, Merciless Blade, 110 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 110 more damage. So that's pretty spicy.
Yeah.
So 220 right there for double dark. We're reaching Gengar numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then ability V-Star power, Moon Cutting Star. Once during your turn, you may put 4 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. So 260 damage to something if you need it to be. Right?
Yep.
Seems good to me. Plus choice belt and stuff, right? So
for so little investment too, it's only 2 colorless.
Yeah, I
two darkness.
I like this card a lot. I wish Hisuian Samurott V was like good at all. But the V-Star is really good. I'm gonna play with this card. It's super cool.
Yeah, I think of the V-Stars in this set, I think it's hands down the best.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Yeah.
I hate Samurott too, so that shows just how good the card is.
Yeah.
I don't like Samurott. I don't like its design at all. I think it looks kind of silly, but
yeah, I loved Oshawott and I loved Duat, and then I got really sad with Samurott.
I don't like any of them. Get them out of here. This card's cool though. I like it. Garchomp.
It's not great.
It's not great. Do we have Dragon Energy right now? I never know.
No.
So okay, so this is bad. All right.
If Double Dragon Energy came back, I think this would be freaking mint.
But it didn't.
But it didn't. Not yet. All
right. Let's make a run of these normal Pokemon and close out with the supporters that matter, right?
Yep. Who's actually pretty good. As long as it's Pokemon, it's a ability. As long as it's in play, basic energy attached to your bench Pokemon can't be discarded by the effects of your opponent's items and supporters. So it prevents crushing hammers, which is really good actually, and other effects like that.
So load up your boys safely.
Yep, that's pretty good. This Miltank, Miraculous Body, prevent all damage done to the Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon V. So that includes V-Maxes and V-Stars.
Yeah, this is a sweet staller. Yeah.
Yep. Really good. Bad attack.
I like this
really
a lot. Yeah, this attack this card is really cool because it allows you. This to me enables like a control strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that's exactly
you can sit this thing, force your opponent to boss it out of play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of decks are 2 or 3 of those, maybe, right? So you waste one, and if they can't boss into one shot, you have all the time in the world with this guy. I really like it.
Yeah, and that's all it for the Pokemon, the normal type.
I'll be messing around with this Miltank for sure.
For sure.
It's the kind of thing I like, kind of drag out the game.
Yeah, I there was a deck list that I saw like day one that someone had it, and it looked really annoying to deal with.
Yeah, looks great. I'm all about this Miltank for sure.
Yeah. There's Turbo Stall, which is a trainer. I don't want to talk about that. It's a really bad card.
Okay. Star of the show, Honey. What this card does is it just sits in your hand. That's all it does. You don't actually ever play it. Don't worry about what it does. It's
Yeah,
bad.
you'll never play it. Actually, I want to look at that Vespiquen.
Yeah.
Oh, it said item cards, didn't it?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
because there's a supporter named Honey, and I just thought, oh, if it just said trainer cards with Honey,
That would be
I was like,
hilarious.
oh, that's actually pretty solid. But no, canceling Cologne might see play. It's a little niche little tech card. Opponent's active Pokemon has no abilities until end of this turn, so it shuts down any of their
Yeah, so it's like
any.
it's a one-turn path, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yep.
Well, while allowing you to keep your abilities.
Yep.
So
So if they had like you take 20 less damage from your opponent's effects or whatever as an ability, then this would just turn off. Which is
yeah,
really
I
good.
really wish this was like until your next turn. Like I
Yeah.
really wish
So
this like gave them a turn off, but maybe that's too good.
it might be hard to like track that though, especially with like
I mean, we
switching or
track like
trading and
can't
whatnot.
attack effects and stuff like that all the time, right? Like,
Well, okay, yeah, same thing. That would make sense, yeah,
yeah,
because as long as it stays in the active, then. But if it went to the bench, then it would lose that
yeah,
debuff.
just like
That
everything
makes sense.
else,
Yeah.
right? So
That yeah,
I don't
I would
know. I
agree.
think this card could have been a little better as it is right now. I don't think it'll really see any play. It's not really worth it, but because like
No.
I don't know. What are you like? What are you really worried about? Oh no, Miltank. Uh-oh.
Galarian Wheezing with the neutralizing gas.
Oh yeah, that's no my boys, my control boys.
Yeah, it is definitely kind of like an anti-control kind of
Yeah, it
card.
is. Never mind, I hate it. Worst card in the set.
um Silene exists, but not worth it.
She sure exists. Roxanne.
Roxanne's good.
Yeah, this card
Uh
seems really good.
so you can only play it if your opponent has 3 or less prize cards left, and then both players shuffle their hands in their deck. You draw 6, they draw 2.
I like it. Picasso. This is
Yeah.
the type of thing that I'm a big fan of.
Mhm. It's a bit conditional, but honestly, you can kind of set that up. Um, yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Kamado, discard all cards in your hand except for one card, then draw 4. So you actually have 5 cards in your hand, which isn't bad. Um,
Yeah, it's not great.
it's not great, no. But it's not bad for sure. I've seen worse. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Jubilee Village. It's a stadium. Once during each player's turn, that player must shuffle their hand into their deck. If they do, draw 5 cards, and their turn ends.
I think this card's really good.
It's pretty neat. It's one of those cards that it's like I don't know. It exists.
There's
Uh,
like no downside to playing it, right?
I mean, it ends your turn.
It ends your turn, but like if you're going first, there's plenty of cards that give you like a large advantage, but then ends your turn.
Yeah. Yeah, this
So
is actually I could see playing this with Miltank. Honestly,
because you're just gonna sit
you're just
there
sitting there
and
setting up and stalling, right? And then you're like, okay,
Mhm.
like I've got like 2 cards left. I'll shuffle, draw 5, go. Like,
Yep. There's 3 more cards I want to talk about here because Lucario V and Lucario V Star actually are officially out, or you can find them in English. They exist because they came in a box, but in Japan they come in a pre-con deck. Same thing with Darkrai, but Darkrai we'll talk about next week because that's part of Astral Radiance, so we'll talk about that card
I
later.
like that Darkrai.
Yeah, it's really good. Lucario V's colorless Crush Punch. 50 damage, discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. That's big. That's big. I don't care too much about the power, but being able to discard specifically, and a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon
Yeah,
is really good.
without having it to be an item or something is really good.
hmm Yeah. We think Fan of Waves is a really good card, and that puts the energy at the bottom of the
Mm-hmm.
deck. This just straight up discards it, so that's really good. And then the V Star is actually pretty sweet
And
too.
you could do this with double colorless energy or turbo colorless energy too,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
Ugh.
So we've got Fighting Knuckle. Its HP is 270 and it's a fighting type.
Yeah.
Fighting Knuckle, Fighting colorless, 120. And then if your opponent's active Pokemon is a V, it does 120 more. So 240 if they're a V.
Yeah, and
Which
otherwise it's 120, and if they're not a V, that's good enough.
That's pretty solid. With a choice belt, then that can take out a fair amount of V's, and then there are other ways to do like clean up pings or other things like that. So that attack right there is really good, but it also has a V star attack, Aura Star for fighting colorless, 70 damage, 70 times damage. So it does 70 times the number of energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon. So if they've got 3, that's 210. And it's just it's Pokemon, not even active.
Yeah, yeah. This
even
is
better.
I don't know. It's a little counterintuitive with Lucario V, but this is a really nice end game attack, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah. I think, yeah, like you boss up someone and then you just go do this for the turn or whatever. So it's pretty solid on that. And then I want to talk about the pickaxe. So Gutsy Pickaxe. Yeah. So reveal the top card of your deck if it's a fighting energy attached to one of your benched Pokemon. Otherwise, reveal it and put it into your hand. So you have ways to stack the deck. There's like Oranguru, and I think there's another thing as well that stacks the deck. And then you can manipulate it with the Gutsy Pickaxe and then do things for your fighting type Pokemon. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's fighting type acceleration.
It's a fine card, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's at the very least, it's just a cantrip, right? Like it's.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yep. Everything else in that is in the decks are kind of not great, so we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, both the decks are really just like the V star, and then an item that are good.
I think in the Darkrai one is what Dark Patch.
Yep.
Which we'll talk about next week because that opens up a lot of things.
Me likey Dark Patch. Yeah, that card is it's real good.
Cool. Yeah. We'll all right.
We've already gone over. Oh no.
We have. See, I thought maybe I could get both of the sets in, and I was like, no, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, we also we talked about too many bad cards today.
We did. We talked about interesting cards.
Yeah, that's true.
Bad for sure, but I have not figured out how to close this out except for
bye everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
Bye. You're listening to us on the Banhammer Games. If you want to recommend our podcast to any of your friends who like Flesh and Blood or the Pokemon game in general, it'd be greatly appreciated. We're starting over pretty much completely, so any help would be greatly appreciated. Also, all of our shows are also going to be on YouTube. Probably as of right now, just in the audio format with like a static picture, so you can put it on in the background and just listen to us talk. It's just all the same that you would hear on the podcast, but for some reason, if you like listening to your podcasts on YouTube, we can do that now too. Also, our Patreon, patreon.com/banhammergames. I will be posting the episodes a day early there, so they will normally come out on Monday for the public, but they will come out on Sunday for our Patreon supporters. So if you want to listen to us a day early, $2 a month will get you that. And everything else I haven't set up completely yet, so those are the big things. But we'll be back in 3 weeks with the Time Gazer and Space Juggler set review.
It'll be good. That'll be a long one too, because I can already tell you there's like a ton of cards I want to talk about from those sets.
Yeah, that's the set I'm most excited about, or 2 sets I'm most excited about. So yeah, without further ado, we'll see you next week. Is a break for us, but we'll be back with Captain's Call the week after that. So we'll see you guys in the next episode.
This is a clean ending, smooth. Bye, everybody.